Hi, hello, and welcome to another self read. And as soon as I click go live, the who are you? Who popped into my mind. I literally had a thought right before this, and it's gone now. Anyway, so today's going to be another self read. I almost titled this an NRS nonsensical read of the self again, but this time feels less nonsensical than last time, even though last time wasn't very nonsensical. I mean, usually they aren't nonsensical, even if the metaphor or the story or the way that they come out kind of sort of is. You know what I mean? And sort of getting back onto the theme of sort of archetypes of self, because I guess that's where I am right now. Maybe I should hit up Rob. Be like, hey, Rob, I know you know. You're more versed in the Jung of it all than I am. What do you know about archetypes? Because apparently that's where my interest is right now. I have the wild unknown archetypes and the wild unknown alchemy. Also, Kim Kranz makes children's books? Question mark. I was at the store with my grandma yesterday. Excuse me, and apparently she loves journals or something. They had some journals and devotionals and stuff like that um, at the store, and she was looking for some for men because there's more that are marketed to women or for women. Anyway, and I see like the little baby's first Bible, right? Different, it was like Moses, the story of Moses, different biblical stories and like picture book format, very early child friendly. And then next to it, sort of like I see like sacred beasts or something like that. And I'm looking at like interesting because you know all this biblical stuff. And then I see by Kim Kranz. I was like, what? Not Kim in the book. So I was like, wow, I didn't know she had branched out. Apparently she has. She did. So anyway, the archetypes that I'm looking before and after today. This is a self read, in as much as you know, kind of like I said, it had to be yesterday. No, maybe the day before yesterday. Like I said, it was the day before yesterday. Like I said, the day before yesterday. There are times when I do a self read the viewer to let the viewer in on like who I am and how I am, so that you know the viewer can make a more informed choice on whether they want to continue to view, right, or not, or I guess if someone is curious. And then I said they're the ones that I do in like a exploratory way, like I am also interested. This one, I guess, kind of falls somewhere in between. Also, I feel like there's a whole new realm of synchronicity that's been unlocked in a way that I guess isn't entirely unexpected. It kind of felt like it was, but now that I think about it, it wasn't. It's not unexpected at all. I'm like, okay, I'm noticing this. Am I doing anything with it? I am noticing, and noticing is something. Excuse me. So, the archetypes that I'm looking for today, the warrior and the trickster. Because I feel like I got a little bit of it in me. A little bit of both. A little bit of warrior, a little bit of trickster. And I wish there was like a, maybe I can do the self, just like a person. You know what I mean? Now, with the warrior, warriors have instruments, they have tools, right? And I kind of archetypes 51 to 70 are thing archetypes, right? If archetypes 1 to 30 are person, 31 to 50 are place, then 51 to 70 are things. And I don't necessarily need a place. What I'm going to do is because I'm going to pull before and after these cards, right? So the card before is going to be the archetype or the sub archetype, right? So with the warrior, and I guess this kind of, it was not necessarily, it's literally a thought that I just had. Because, like, there are many kinds of warriors, and there are many different ways to contribute to something or to fight or to do whatever. There are many different routes that an outcome can come about in multiple paths, many paths. Maybe I should have many paths. No, it's many paths in nature, but I'm not looking for many paths. So, you know what I mean? If I was doing this generally and collectively, excuse me, then I could, but that's not the vibe today. So I don't need it as a significator. Anyway, there are many different ways to go about doing something, right? So that's why we leave the archetype open. I think that's also why I don't want to use the blade or the sword. I think it's the sword in this deck. The blade is in the Mystical Shaman Oracle cards. Because I don't want to. If I use the blade as a significator, then it can't come out. Like, to use it as a significator is to, depending, render it void, right? I'm putting it on the table, and if there's only one copy from the card, the blade can't come out to clarify the blade, unless I use the Mystical Shaman. Oh, am I using the Mystical Shaman? I guess I'm using the Mystical Shaman. The Mystical Shaman. That's the sound of popcorn, Indiana. I love that popcorn, Indiana. Popcorn, Indiana. Indiana, Indiana, Indiana. Popcorn, Indiana. This isn't sponsored by Popcorn Indiana, and if they use that, I want my money. Popcorn Indiana. I love that popcorn Indiana. I was just telling my journey buddy, I think. I was like, their quality team is amazing. Their suppliers must be amazing. Their manufacturing process must be amazing. Because I've never been disappointed by a bag of Popcorn Indiana, and this isn't sponsored. This isn't encouraging anybody to go buy up the Popcorn Indiana, because I like seeing it on the shelf when I go to the grocery store. But it's like really good. Interesting. Okay. Okay, girl. What is I'm like, what's happening at the bottom of its deck? All right. So what I was gonna do is the card before it makes sense. I'll do this in a way that makes sense, and I'm gonna reshuffle these because because I haven't ironed out the intention yet. And it's one of those things. The card before the archetype is going to be the archetype, right? So the sub archetype of the warrior, the sub archetype of they. I don't think there's a trickster, so I'm going to use the shapeshifter instead. I guess it's not always. I guess in a way, because I kind of mentioned this before in the last one, how like I'll be asked sometimes to help somebody with something, and my approach, especially depending on what the thing is, and usually It's something that isn't isolated, right? So to limit dependence on me and to just empower people in general, I feel like it's better to help someone. My approach is to help someone to the answer rather than to just give them the answer. Especially, like, I feel like there are fewer cases where it would be better, or there are fewer cases where I would prefer to just give someone an answer rather than to help them arrive to an answer on their own. And so that's kind of sort of the vibe of trickster. Also, because my brain operates in metaphor, things aren't necessarily always cut and dry, straightforward, but also because I'll say I'm fairly intuitive, sometimes oblivious. Oblivious to some things, fairly intuitive in general. It's like I also enjoy the process of arriving to something. And so I could allow something to sit as it is until I find out more, until my intuition and discernment picks up more, reveals more, until life happens and I learn more. Right? I can let something sit. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. We may go down. We may go down. I forgot to plug up my I forgot to plug up my laptop. Oh my gosh. Oh. No. Don't die on me. You can't die on me. I mean, you might. This thing goes quick. When it goes, it goes. Oh, come on. I'm so close. I'm so close. Oh, I'm fumbling. Oh, no. Oh, I got it. We're in the clear. Oh, gosh. I forgot to plug it up. I have a gaming laptop. I have an old gaming laptop. So it has always been power hungry and it goes. Sometimes I don't even get a warning. Sometimes it just shuts off and I'm like, what happened? I'm like, no warning. Sometimes I do. I got one today, thankfully. And it's filling up. Okay, there's my adrenaline spike. All right, so yeah, allow things to be what they are. Let life, the divine, intuition, discernment. Excuse me. I guess I don't need an archetype of the thing because the thing is the thing. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, I guess it's fine. I was going to say, I feel. So, I'm like, should I change the order or should I just do it as it is? I think I'm going to do it as it is. I have shuffled the Mystical Shaman Oracle cards. That way, if the blade comes out, then the sword is a blade. Am I still looking for the sword, though? No. I'm going to do my best. I do my best. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Why? That's the Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Y'all know Tommy, the Green Ranger, and then White Ranger with the flute thing. Do 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 do. Okay, cool. All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Also, I don't know. I think I'm kind of over the Dunkin' refreshers, low key. Or maybe I just need to do the Dunkin' Zero because for the past maybe week or so, maybe the past few days, they've been tasting. I don't know if it's too much concentrate or what, like extra syrupy. Anyway, there's the intention. I didn't. Okay. So before the significator is the archetype that I'm looking for. After the significator, I'm going to pull the corresponding number in the wild unknown alchemy. and then we'll go from there. Right? The only difference is with the shapeshifter is going to be flipped. So with the shapeshifter, before is going to be the alchemy, and after is going to be the archetype. And then I guess I'll put the deck back together. And the first archetype of thing will be the tool. Right? I don't know. Who knows? There's the intention. Let's see if anything happens. Ooh, Gnosis. Gnosis, this is such an interesting card to come out, especially as I was saying, like, I let things sort of stand as they are, and then intuition, discernment, the divine in life sort of allow that to make it make sense, or working in conjunction with that force / those forces to make sense of the thing. Gnosis actually came out as a word that I was looking for. And it's interesting the definition of it next to the connotation of it. Right. Ooh, girl. The storm and the offering. Well, there's two things. No, the storm is a place. The offering is the thing. I mean, the storm offers cleansing, right? The storm is cleansing is associated with the storm. The storm sometimes offers reprieve. The reprieve of the storm is interesting, though, because it really depends, right? Sometimes, like if it's been hot, if it's been hot, the storm offers a reprieve in the coolness that it brings, because this, like, part of the natural forces that produce the storm is a cold front. Cooler air is necessary. So to be in the heat and to depending, because timeline / timeliness is also a factor, but to be in the heat and to pray for, wish for, manifest coolness is to call in a storm. Because if the cold front comes in while the warm air is still there, those are the conditions that produce storms. The cool air comes in. It's like, because there's like a bunch of warm air, right? From what I know, when the cool air comes in, since cool air is denser than warm air, it pushes, as the cool air comes down, because it's the air is denser and the warm air rises. It's like all of that rising of the warm air and the falling of the cool air causes these conditions that lead to the storm. So the storm in and of itself is almost a byproduct of something desired within this fan, right? Now, the reprieve of the storm, sometimes the storm does break the heat and then it's cool and everything is amazing. Sometimes the storm adds moisture to the air. And now not only is it still hot, but the humidity has gone up. So it's like a wet hot, like wet heat, humid heat, where it's like muggy and your sweat sticks to your skin. And because that's the thing, if there's too much moisture in the air, then sweat won't evaporate off the body, because the air is already saturated with moisture. There's no more moisture that the air can hold. My North Node is in Sagittarius. I was gonna say, I feel like this is that Sagittarian sciency whatever. That's where the North Node is. Anyway, okay, cool. So yeah, the offering of the storm, it's kind of a toss-up. Is it reprieve? Is it gonna break the heat? Are things gonna be cooler, or is it just gonna put a bunch of moisture in the air? And with the moisture that it puts in the air, even if the temperature drops because of the moisture and its ability to hold heat, it's gonna feel hotter, potentially. It could drop 5 degrees, but the humidity makes it feel 10 degrees warmer. So that's a two-parter. And then the timeliness of that, of course, is if the cool air comes in after the warm air moves on, then you're not necessarily going to get a storm. Or if the warm air passes, then, that warm air, cold air, the conditions aren't whatever. But if there's like an immediacy to it, I need cool air now, that's going to produce a storm because where cool air and warm air mix. Cool. Anyway. There's the storm again. It was third from the bottom. Okay. I don't know if it's like everywhere, but we actually have like storm chasers here. The people that see like the tornadoes and stuff and they chase it, they follow it. I don't know if it's necessarily that way all over the place. I know it's kind of a thing in the Midwest. So if you're on social media, you'll see the memes. People going out on their porch and then rather than going to the basement, some folks go to the porch or they get in their trucks to follow the storm and record it. But at the same time, it's like if there weren't people out there chasing storms and following storms, then there's a certain amount of the situation that would go unknown, unseen, unnoticed, undocumented, whatever, right? Is it necessary? I don't know. I didn't know the storm would necessarily be such a huge metaphorical trove of, well, it depends. Okay. All right. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to look for the warrior. Oh my goodness. A card just flipped over. I'm not looking for an archetype of place. So I guess it's just going to sit here. It doesn't break what I'm doing because I wasn't necessarily looking for. The storm came literally right back out. It just fell on the table. Bottom of the deck is the prayer. I mean, this is a self read. So is it a me prayer? I mean, I don't know. I'm not necessarily gonna. I guess there's a part of me that's like I haven't, because the cards haven't come out. I haven't gotten fully into the self part yet. So maybe it's collective. But since that's like the intention of this video, maybe it's me thing. The prayer is number 65. The prayer is a thing. Hold up. I think this might make it easy for me. I'm pretty sure. No. Okay. Here we go. I'm going to take this as the archetype of thing because the prayer is a thing and I didn't have a set thing for the thing. Now, I wasn't looking for an archetype of the thing, right? So it made it easy for me because no, that's 40. Okay. Hold up. How am I? Let's just go with it. Number 9 is the. Is this how I'm doing it? I literally did like talk about how that's the other thing. You talk about how you intend to do something and then the cards come out and you're just like, okay. Well, there is the do I do as I intend, or is my intuition discernment saying this is how it's gonna go? The way that I thought it was gonna go isn't necessarily the way that it's gonna go, and I just need to get with the program. Or is it one of those, I'll put it back. If it's meant to come out, it'll come back out. The storm literally fell out of the deck. Maybe we're just not done with the conversation. Maybe the prayer is that confirmation, right? The heat is something that we wish to break. I don't like the heat. So I would wish to break the heat. And so to receive the coolness or the coldness that is desired with that prayer is to intentionally or not, through the process of phenomena, or the process of the sequentiality or culmination of phenomena, a storm is very likely. Because again, cool air, warm air produces the storm. The card after the prayer is the hunter. And when I was shuffling these in the pre shuffle, I actually saw the hunter. I don't remember what it was with, though. I remember seeing it. I feel like I saw the hunter the last time, too. Yeah, I did. We did. No, we saw the river. And the river had the box around the horse. Because, like, this is the hunter, right? In the river, you kind of see the hunter reflected off the surface of the water in that golden pentagram. And we saw the golden box of the sustainer. That's where we saw this recently. So it wasn't the hunter. Although it is giving the answer to a prayer. The answer to a prayer, the answer to a manifestation will cause a storm. Now, the interesting thing about that is if this is for me, or even just collectively and in general, I had a dream the other day that my circumstances had changed. And un momento, por favor. I had a dream the other day that my circumstances had changed in a way that I didn't ask. Like the specifics of the circumstances wasn't necessarily what I had asked for, but for those to be the circumstances as a result, like that was the storm. The circumstances was the storm. When it was like, I don't feel like I asked for this, and now I have to deal with the inconvenience of it. And I don't want to have to deal with the inconvenience of this, but it's almost very wishes may bring problems such that you regret them better that though than to never get them. Into the Woods. Now, Into the Woods also came up recently, and that was the baker's wife. Um, it was that line. Oh, what was it? I have that other song. I'm trying to think of it that she did and not the one that I'm trying to remember. Now I got another part. The part that is in my head now is when there's 4 things that they need to get to make their wish come true. And I'm pretty sure it's the part where they get 2 out of the 4. And she's like, we're halfway there. We're almost to our wish. Right? That's where my brain is now. I can't get there. It's fine. I'm not going to continue to press it. They were halfway to their wish, right? And then there were more obstacles, of course. The prayer is here. Maybe that's where we are. So anyway, in the dream, the circumstances weren't what I had asked for, but it's almost like if this is what I have to put up with or get used to, or if this is what I have to navigate to get where I want to go slash where I'm going, then this is just something I'm going to have to learn to navigate. The situation and the circumstances weren't terrible. Honestly, they were, some people wish for that circumstance. For me, it's just like I don't want this. I don't need this. The other parts, sure. This part, no thank you. I don't need it. And I guess with the prayer, with the storm and everything, my point is, since we did see the hunter at the river before, but instead of the reflection in the river, it's the hunter now. And the hunter is closing in on this source of light. If this is the tunnel, it's about to be born. It's nearing the mouth of the tunnel. Um, Maybe it was just a word of warning type, hey, like this is on your radar. Start mentally preparing for it now. Sorry. I'm like trying to like look into it. I'm trying to like gaze into it and peer into it a little bit. I'm like, wait, is that? It's like dots starting to slowly connect. The neurons are connecting. And it's like, not now. Am I taking this? Is the question. Now, if we were looking at the 65 of the prayer, I could still do that. And the storm is just here. I'm pretty sure there aren't 65 cards in the mystical shaman. Pretty sure there's not 60. I think it goes up to maybe 54, 55, 56. I don't think there's a 65. Let me pull the book. I'm pretty sure there isn't. If the end is right, it justifies the beans. 64. It goes to 64. So I was like, oh, then I'll do the alchemy for the 64. And I'll do the mystical shaman for the 9. And the storm is just the place. Another thing about this is the storm is a place of occurrence. The storm is a place of circumstance. The storm has an intransience to it. It's a place that is the result of something else. It's not necessarily something that, well, depending, right, since we're not on Jupiter, question mark, there isn't a storm that's been happening for however long. And it's funny because on Instagram, right before this, is his name Tariq? Tariq says it. Tariq does it. I forget his name. I didn't see the original video he posted about Jupiter, but someone replied, if Jupiter wasn't, it was like if Jupiter didn't exist, you wouldn't exist or something like that. And he was like, I don't need anybody's help to exist. And that's as much as I saw in the video. The storm, again, it's a place here, a place that's the result of something. Also, the storm can exist almost anywhere, right? If you're in the desert, there can be a storm. Ocean, storm. Castle, storm. Bardo, I don't know. I'm gonna have to run to the bathroom. Oof. Okay, I'm back. Is this place a thing? Yeah, so the storm can happen anywhere, especially anywhere outdoors. I have always wondered if it's possible to make a storm indoors, right? If it's like the mixture of air and stuff, like if you could have a miniature storm, maybe in an enclosure. I guess, well, if the air isn't dry, if there's moisture in the air, would you also need some kind of dust or a fine particle? Because I think it's when moisture condenses on particles in the air that you get like raindrops, right? Or is that snow? Am I thinking of snowflakes? Well, I think it's kind of frozen when it forms, and if it's warm enough, then they melt into raindrops. Anyway, it's fine. I can look at the atmospheric sciences of it all later. Also, I was gonna get my hair retwisted. I get on Instagram and my loctician is on a beach somewhere living his best life. So I'm like, you know what? Good for you. You deserve a break. You work very hard. He was on a boat on a beach. I'm like, okay. I was like, I wanted to get my hair done. It's fine. It was the Venom. The father was the final card. The Venom was the bottom of the deck. When I cut the deck, the Hunter was there. That's what it was. Because if the storm is an energy of cleansing and purifying, we already saw the Hunter with Venom. So the storm would be the Hunter's method of purification? Question mark. I don't know. Anyway, it's fine. We're gonna go with this. I feel like I'm spending a lot of time here. Let's just do it. Let's do it in the way that we do it. I'm gonna pull Wild Unknown Alchemy number 46. 47, sorry, number 47. That's 1111. 65, 11, 47, 11, and then 9. And I'm not going to look in the book beforehand. So I'm looking for XLVII. XLV. Sometimes it's easier to look for it's quicker. Not necessarily easier. It's quicker to look for the card rather than the number, especially when it's Roman numerals, because I got to think. I got to think. Especially when it's LX, XL. Okay, XL. XLV. XLVII. We're looking for XLVII. XLVI. Interesting that 48 and 40. No. 48 and 56. Never mind. I was going to say, I saw LVI and then LVII. JK, LOL, take it back. JK, LOL, take it back. JK. LOL. LOL. Oops. XLVI. Almost there. LXV. Now my XLV. Can I get an extra large 7, please? Oh, great. XLVIII. XLVII 47 is the Raven's head. It's in between conjunction and the great work. 71, 61. Okay. No, that's air. Spring is the fire season if we look at Aries as the cardinal, as the entry point. There we go. All right, Raven's Head. We've been seeing you, haven't we? I just saw a video. I saw another reel on Instagram yesterday that was talking about biodiversity in terms of tortoises and turtles, toads and frogs, ravens and crows, some other pair of animals. My brain. It's a crow. I'm pretty sure it's a crow and not a raven. My brain went to the crow and the fox. The crow has a piece of cheese. The fox wants the cheese. The crow doesn't want to give the fox the cheese. The fox uses its wits to get the cheese from the crow by complimenting its thinking. A compliment was the crow's sort of downfall. It had to open its mouth to sing, and when it opened its mouth, the cheese fell. The fox got the cheese. This is a raven, however, but just like the blackbird with something in its mouth. Also, because foxes are associated with tricksters, and the trickster is one of the archetypes that I'm looking for, the warrior and the trickster. Because sometimes it's learning is the better route to change than a weapon, right? Better a lesson than a weapon. How about that? Okay, let me keep going. Number 9. I'm looking left, right, left, right, left, left, right, right, because the numbers move. I don't even know what number 9 is. There's 8. Number 9 is completion. The Rainmaker. The Rainmaker is before completion, number 42. Pachamama is after number 40. Okay. So we have the Raven's Head and completion. I feel like there's what is it? What's the thing? Is that another fox? It's not the unstoppable force and the immovable object. It's the other pair. Like there's the hunter that always catches its prey, and then there's the animal that always escapes. But this hunter, there is a not an inevitability. I feel like that's a bit extreme, but it's like the hunter is closing in. The Raven's Head and completion. Prayer is the thing. I'd be interested to see what the archetypes are. I mean, obviously, the temple is on the table, the vow is on the table. Um, because of the cleansing nature of the storm, the healer is on the table. Because of the heat of the metaphorical interpretation of the circumstances that precipitate the storm, the desert is on the table. We'll see. Okay. I'm going to give this 2, 2, 2, a cut, and then we will begin. There's those 2. There's 1, 2, and a cut. Clarifiers that we're looking for are the warrior and the shapeshifter. Before the warrior is the archetype of the warrior. After the warrior is the alchemy that I'm going to look for. Before the shapeshifter is the archetype of the shapeshifter. After the shapeshifter is the alchemy I'm going to look for. Okay. The thing already came out accompanying the storm at the bottom of the deck was the prayer. I think I would have only done it that I'm thinking to myself. I would have only used the blade as a, but it wouldn't have made sense to use the blade as a significator. Anyway, the thing came out first and it was a prayer. I feel like the prayer works for me. You know what I mean? let put it in the hands of the divine and let the divine work it out. You know what I mean? But let's go looking for that warrior. But like prayer warriors are a thing. Intercessors are a thing. An intercessor is someone who goes to the divine on behalf of someone else. For those who may not know, my understanding of an intercessor is someone who goes to the divine on behalf of someone else. Right. And they kind of use their gifts and their relationship to not plead a case, but to they handle the affairs, to represent somebody and stuff like that, right? An intercessor. Intercessor. Okay. I've already cut it. I've already shuffled. I'm looking for the warrior and the shapeshifter. We have the vessel, the warrior. Oh gosh. And then and then the shapeshifter, and then the underworld. So the archetypes are connected. We have the vessel, the warrior, the one, the shapeshifter, and the underworld. Under that is the lover, if you're curious. Literally right at the bottom. So this is before the warrior. Is this the same? I think they're literally the same. I was looking after the warrior for the alchemy and before the shapeshifter as the alchemy. It's the same alchemy. And it's the alchemy that corresponds to the one because that's literally how they came out. The warrior, the one, the shapeshifter. Okay. So, ooh. Well, let's see what this alchemy is about. Shall we? Because the archetypes we're working with are the vessel and the underworld. I don't know how I feel about that. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad. Ooh, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Number 30. I'm going to give these some shuffles too because I gave the other one shuffles. I feel like there's two people who may be seeing this video that would sort of get or understand the irony question mark in this. One of them I know would, the other one she would know. Both of them would know. And it's interesting because it is. More than I know, maybe. Okay. Synchronicities are synchronicity. I was with my grandma yesterday, right? And she was looking for a devotional that she can give to a man. Basically, one that's not specifically catered to, marketed towards women, right? And there was like a thing a day. There were two different ones. And the one for yesterday, it was literally a vessel of spirit or something like that, maybe. Okay. I thought I could, but just in case. Uh... Duolingo is staring at me. It's glaring at me because it's 5:46 and I haven't done a lesson yet. I still got more than 6 hours. Come on. I'm going to do my lesson today. What am I looking for? This is what I'm looking for. What does that say? Ultimate Dad Night? Ultimate Dad Night. Oh, it said dad, and that's why she didn't want to get it for him. She's like, that's not my dad. She didn't say that, but do you see this? June 26th, Vessels of the Spirit. That was literally the thing yesterday. I took a picture of it because I was like, interesting. And it says, I will pour out my spirit on all humanity. Then your sons and your daughters will prophesy, your old men will have dreams, and your young men will see visions. Joel 2:28. 2:28. I'm born Feb 28. LOL. I told you the synchronicity, girl. And sometimes I'm like, oh, okay. Let me keep going about my day. Honestly, maybe I could get better at that. But also, like, the divine knows how I operate. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean that I can't be more present and mindful in the situations where, it's for me to be present and mindful. Okay, I just cut it. We're going to go bottom of the deck. I'm looking for a triple X for the one. We got blood, sugar. Blood sugar? Is that a synchronicity for me to? No, I'm just blood, sugar, and Mercury. What does that mean? Well, maybe this Mercury retrograde would be a great time to get a checkup. I don't know. Blood, sugar, and Mercury. There's 31 and here's 32. Okay. I'm looking for 30. I feel like I should know what 30 is, but I don't remember. I don't remember. I can't recall right now. It's not the storm. Ooh, okay. It's glass. Before glass is alchemy number 14, yellowing. After glass is alchemy number 50, Hyros Gamos, the alchemical wedding. All right. Now this, because we have the archetype of the storm, and the storm is a place that is the result of the meeting of cold and warm, cooler and warmer, cold and hot, fire and ice. You ever like feel your neurons trying to connect? You ever feel a thought trying to form? Like you can actively feel your brain working. So I was gonna say, where's the other snake? Because there's one, and it's you could say predominantly yellow, and then we have yellowing. Where's the other one? Now we have another snake on the table. Yeah, we do. Incompletion. This one snake is all of the colors. And you could say this one snake is the child of both of these snakes because from red to blue, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, this one snake has all those colors. I don't know what I expected to come of this. I really don't. Not this. You know what I mean? I feel like, I don't know. I feel like there is an element of resonance here. Like if I were to low hanging fruit this, right? I feel like my brain just like let's read the books. Let's read the books. How about we read the books? Where are the books? Where are the books? I here no. Here they are. I was like, I know I left them out. I left them accessible. Okay. All right. All right. Yeah. Okay. Is this number 48? This is number 48. 47? 47 and 48 are on the table. 47 is the storm. 48 is the underworld. So numerically, the place after the storm is here on the table, on the other side of the shapeshifter. Let's just continue. Speculum glass, transparency, focus, and seeing. This is the alchemy between, even like with Hyros Gamos, right? Like that alchemical wedding. This one alchemy is sort of the marriage of the warrior and the trickster or the shapeshifter. It's came up between them. And I specified, I made my intention clear before I did this. After the warrior and before the shapeshifter will be the alchemy that I look for. And here it is. They just happen to come out in sequence. Literally at the bottom of the deck, the bottom 5 cards. Okay. Glass transmits a sacred exchange between the alchemist and their work. Through the glass vessel, the alchemist sees their work and the work sees the alchemist. What was once clouded in confusion becomes focused. What was once veiled becomes obvious. How are you currently seeing the world? What is your perspective? The glass card can be thought of as the gift of true perception. And we saw perception in the Dreams of Gaia Tarot. It was intuition and perception at the cut, but perception ended up coming out with, I think it was the Ten of Air. Pretty sure it was the Ten of Air and perception. Okay. What is your perspective? I guess we go back there. The glass card can be thought of as the gift of true perception. With it, you naturally focus on what is most central in your life. All else falls into the periphery. Is that why my peripheral vision is terrible? Medically. They say it's genetic and hereditary, but maybe my dad's mom had it. It's likely she did. But that's it. Two of us. Anyway. The next right action becomes clear. Glass is fragile by nature and requires regular cleaning. So find daily practices that align your vision to what is true. It's easy to slip into an old mode of seeing, particularly someone else's. So hold steady to your new alchemical lenses. Their power is mighty. Y'all already know how I am about other people's perspectives and lenses. I take it in, but I don't take it on if it doesn't. You know what I mean? To ponder the sand becoming glass. It's interesting because I literally saw a video. Someone took a heated spoon, they put it in a cup of salt, a cup of water, and then sugar. One of those, like, sugar is bad. Like, you could tell that was supposed to be the vibe, but sugar caramelizes. If you heat up sugar, it makes caramel. So the salt didn't really do anything but pop. Of course, the water fizzed and some of the water evaporated because it boiled. And then the sugar, it did like erupt into a flame, but it started to caramelize because that's what happens to sugar. He didn't have sand, but we that came up recently. I mean, maybe that was that and this is this. Making glass came up recently. Was it the desert? Was it the sand in the desert? I don't remember. We have glass is a separator. It puts a clear barrier between the observer and the observer that came out yesterday. Cool. It puts a clear barrier between the observer, the archetype that I hold no insignificant standing in, and the observed. Ponder on this distance making and whether it is serving or hindering. Some speak of rose-colored glasses that shift our perspective. Take inventory of what lens you are looking through. Is the glass muddy, colored, cracked, or crystal clear? Interesting. Okay. I didn't read the alchemy of the Raven's Head of the Storm, so let's look at that, which is again 47 XLVII. Initiation, the ordeal, and the work begins. Is the storm the initiation? Though alchemy is filled with a myriad of open ended symbols, the Raven's Head has a precise message. It arrives to mark the beginning of the work. This card indicates something has occurred, known or unknown, to initiate the spinning of the alchemical wheel. With its mighty churning, things are about to change on every level. The raven's work cannot be undone, just as the pill cannot be unswallowed or the pearl turned back to sand. You may be overwhelmed or think the journey ahead is not for you. Your doubts matter not to the raven, as its appearance signifies it has chosen you. You are ready, and the moment is now. Can you go back to the way things were? Can you pretend nothing has changed? The raven calls a clear no. It does not apologize, as it knows your destiny is great. Interesting. I feel like that kind of came up in the last one too. And the image that was made, you see the work and the work sees you, the work begins. The raven's head has a precise message. Glass was all about clarity and focus. It's not ambiguous. Also, the reason why in the beginning of this, maybe that's another synchronistic confirmation. I didn't put many paths on the table as a significator because I'm not looking at many paths. I'm not doing a collective general. I'm looking at me. This is a self read. And so the focus and the clarity and the precision is an interesting energy, especially because I consciously chose not to do that and I communicated that, right? No, as far as the rest of this girl, I don't know. This could have been, I didn't think this would be an NRS, a nonsensical read of the South, but we're there. It's not that it makes nonsensical things don't necessarily always not make sense. There's a counterintuitive, a counterintuicity. I want to say a counterintuicity, even though that's not a word. A counterintuitiveness to something nonsensical. It's counterintuitive because although it may not seem like it makes sense, it can. Now, with the energy of the trickster being something I was looking for, it makes sense. So in some way, some form. Cool. Okay. We have number 49. No, 69. Sorry. LXIX. right? LX 60, IX9, and then we have 69 and 48. 48 is 12, 69 is a 15, 6. 3 and 6. No. Yeah, 48 is 12. 69 is 6. We got a 3 and a 6, and then the 9 of the hunter. Okay. 3, 6, 9. There's an 11 in the 47, and then another 3 in the 30. Oh, not the 1. 69, 48, 48. The underworld. It's the nightmare, the ordeal, and the bottom. The Raven's Head was also the ordeal. Remember how I was like, oh, we got 47 and 48. The Raven's Head is 47. The underworld is 48. Both of them are linked to the ordeal. Not only are they both linked to the ordeal, but the ordeal is also like the middle thing. See that? The ordeal, the ordeal. The work begins and the bottom, right? When you're at rock bottom, it's up from here. I wouldn't say I'm anywhere near rock bottom. And some from a certain objective lens, I mean, either way, it's up from here. It's not going to get any lower than this. I guess if it's not going to get any lower than this, then I am at the bottom, right? If this is the lowest, then this is rock bottom. Rock bottom could be on a mountain, especially if you're a bird. You know what I mean? Or if you spend, Anyway, the underworld, the ordeal, the bottom, the nightmare. The nightmare is also interesting for the girls who know. I had a dream. It wasn't a nightmare, but I did have a dream. I had a few dreams that, yeah, okay. And it's interesting because in those dreams, I saw a warrior. I mean, I had the first dream when I was a kid. I had another dream a few years ago. So it took a while for me to sort of understand that part of it. I was like, because at first I was just kind of generally confused. Then I was like, oh, okay. And it's so interesting that the work begins is the message here, especially with the Raven's Head, like the whether you're ready or not, the work begins because in that defining dream, which was I think the last one I had, I was approached and the warrior was like, ready or not, it's about to go down. And I said no. I was like, absolutely not. And he was like, you don't have a choice. And then I woke up. In the dream, I turned my back, I walked away, I saw a door. I opened the door and I opened my eyes. I was like, absolutely not. I'm not doing this tonight. I am not doing this right now. And I woke up. I guess I can't wake up if I'm already awake, huh? There's no waking up from this. Wow. The synchronicity there is a low key kind of wild. And I did think about that recently. I was like, I'm not doing this. I was like, no. And it's funny because when I was first approached in the dream, I didn't recognize the energy of it. I didn't recognize the character because the first time I had the dream, they looked different. And they were, oh my gosh, they were on a horse. And the hunter is literally right here. It's literally right here. That's kind of low key, kind of wild, low key, kind of crazy. They were on a horse, and they're like, "We're doing this," and I was like, "No." I was like, "I'm not doing this." I was like, "You may be doing this by yourself. I'm not participating." And then after they were like, "You don't have a choice," that's when they changed. And then I was like, "Oh, I've seen you before." Now, to be fair, I had that dream a long time ago. So I had at least a decade, more than a decade, maybe a decade and a half, somewhere around there, roughly. Maybe more. Not two. Was it two? Almost 2 decades? And they were like, okay, you've had 20 years. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not doing this. Nope. And I woke up. I sure did. And it was interesting because I wasn't trapped in the dream, but usually if I'm dreaming and I want to wake up, I just wake up. Like there's no mechanism, there's no door that I have to run through or whatever. I just open my eyes and I'm awake. I decide I'm not having this dream tonight. My eyes open. I did. It's like I had to find a way out, but as soon as I turned around, the door was in front of me, so I didn't really have to look for it. I didn't run. I didn't whatever. I was like, I'm not doing this. And now here's the energy of the ordeal. What if the ordeal is like, oh, because you didn't do it then, now you got this whole storm now. Yeah, it's been real hot, hasn't it? Well, if you would have did what you were supposed to do when you were supposed to do it, you wouldn't be dealing with the heat. I couldn't stand the heat at that point, and I knew I couldn't stand the heat, so I GTFO'd the kitchen. You know what I mean? I was like, I can't take this heat right now. I'm busy. Anyway, it is interesting because again, the dream fits this, and then the Raven's head with the ordeal begins. I'm like, okay. Anyway, this is No Time to Mince Words. The archetypal territory of the underworld is fraught with nightmares, suffering, and pain. It is the darkest shadow realm which we try vigilantly to avoid or deny at any cost. Try as we might, the darkness pulls us into its depths through disturbing dream images, unexpected accidents, illness, war, conflict, and ultimately death. Not visiting the underworld or denying its existence altogether is what gives it dangerous power. Traversing it forces us to bow humbly to the greater forces that be, while summoning the inner strength we previously underestimated. Take solace that the underworld subsumes everyone from time to time, making us deeper friends, more intimate partners, soldiers of light, and soldiers of light amid our shadowy times. Facing darkness and choosing light is the most profound calling of all. Wow, facing darkness and choosing light. The vessel with the vessel of the spirit. Cool. That's a place. We got another place. A place and a thing. I feel like the vessel being a thing is kind of the vessel, the body, the container, the cup. The vessel may be the most powerful archetypal form on earth. It is everywhere. Cups hold liquid, stoves hold fire, our bodies hold organs, our homes hold families. Through the simple act of separation, the vessel protects what it contains. Nests protect the eggs, savings accounts protect our earnings, even the planets are contained within their circular orbit. When this card appears, it's time to assess what is being held together and how. What is being held together and how. The vessel is the vessel too tight, too loose, broken, empty, full? Or perhaps there is no vessel at all, and the contents spill in every direction. It is natural for structures to be formed and eventually fall apart. The vessel has a life cycle that must be honored. Is it time for you to build, break, or repair? You must find out. I don't know how I feel about the ordeal. the ordeal, ready or not, here it comes. You must find out. Also, though, glass is a vessel. Now, the question of glass was if that distance helps or hinders a situation. But this is saying through the simple act of separation, the vessel protects that which it contains. And this vessel is the archetype of the warrior. So it's protective, obviously. Maybe it's not obvious to some people. It's a protective energy. It protects what it contains, and the container is made of glass. So it protects and it doesn't obstruct, visually, at the very least. And then the underworld was dark times type of whatever. If my, I would say if my ego were bigger, I could read this as clarity. Oh, what was the other word it used with the raven's head? What did it say? Precision. Precision, clarity, and protection amid dark times because the underworld is here. And honestly, that's a lot of why I chose to speak. When my North Node Sag came online and I started using my voice, it was pretty much for that reason, right? Or that being the hope, right? When the world goes dark, shine brighter. Maybe the storm and that, oh my gosh. LOLOL. How did I not clock that? I feel like I'm more comfortable with my North Node Sagittarius using my voice speaking than I am necessarily my Chiron and Leo, which is like being seen or taking center stage or, having more of a presence, right? There's a certain comfort in obscurity, and it's not a comfort of anonymity necessarily. I think there's like a almost a protective element to it, right? If no one sees you, no one's gonna bother you, or that's the thought. The thought process is people won't bother you. You can live your life and just have the experience you want to have without the eyes and opinions and interference of other people. I feel like this is basically a continuation of yesterday in a way, which I guess I shouldn't be surprised about. We saw the observer as the archetype yesterday. The glass mentioned the observer and the observed. The vessel came out. The glass mentioned the vessel. The vessel also mentioned separation. Glass mentioned separation. But the vessel, again, there's that protective element. And I feel like what's interesting about, like, I've already been through my darkest night. I can't imagine. I'm not. I'll just leave that there. I will just leave that there. Like I've already been through an experience that was so harrowing that I'm of the mind, and I've been of the mind that no matter what I have to do to handle, face, address, work through something, I'm gonna do it. I have to. Like when I came out of it, I was like, I can't. If I go back there, I'm not gonna survive. So anything and everything I have to do, I will do. So for me to already sort of have that experience within myself, and to already be of the mind of, even if something is uncomfortable or whatever, if I have to look at it, I'm gonna look at it because I can't turn around and go back. Wow. I feel like that again, that's why the underworld is sort of here. Hmm. Okay, wow, cool. And maybe the Raven's head is just like, yeah, girl. You know, now is the time. If ever there were a time, maybe it's less now is the time, more then was the time. I mean, maybe it's still those times. In a lot of ways, you could say it's still those times. In some ways, you can. In some ways, it's different. And it's so interesting because I feel like within the past few days, there's an almost clarity that I've started to see. Honestly, kind of sort of since Cancer season rolled around. Maybe since the end of Gemini season, honestly. The sun left my south node. My south node is in Gemini. I was like, I can see. Okay, cool. There's no further really to take it. Um, and I literally I talked about this in the NRS the day before yesterday too, about how I'm not the type of person to like I'm the type of person that if something I feel if something is right or wrong, then my relationship to whoever is doing whatever doesn't change my opinion of whether the thing is kind of like right or wrong. If something is wrong and I do it, it's still wrong. If something is wrong and my best friend does it, they're still wrong. If something is wrong and my mom does it, my family does it, it's still wrong. Just because I do it or someone that I love and cherish does it doesn't mean that all of a sudden now it's right. Now, there are circumstances that form the basis of a situation and an environment. There are certain things that aren't necessarily objectively right and wrong, right? So in this case scenario situation, it may be wrong, and in that case scenario situation, it may have been the right thing to do. It's not black and white, but and I feel like this speaks to the glass because that is my viewpoint and how I am and how I've kind of always been. I had so like when I had my darkest night and I was like anything and everything I have to do, I'm gonna do. That was me cleaning the glass. And the glass wasn't so blurry that I couldn't see. It was blurry enough to make the frightening things a little less frightening until it came up on the glass and it was threatening to like break the glass. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't pretend like I don't see it anymore. And it's not pretending like it doesn't see me. Because it's not pretending like it doesn't see me, I can't pretend like I don't see it. So there's some work that we're gonna have to do now. But yeah, that's what it comes with. I don't think anyone is necessarily coming to me to be shelter and go to the divine for that, girl. Who am I? I am nobody. But if that were the case, it's made out of glass. Yes, there's a separation. Yes, maybe there's an element of protection, but it's glass. It's not protection that is born from ignorance. It's protection that's born from achieved clarity and aligned action, right? Just because you see something doesn't necessarily always mean that it's for you to do something about it. But sometimes, note to me, note to self, it is. Now we already have the thing. I could still go looking for the blade. I might still go looking for the blade, but what came out is prayer, right? prayer being the tool and the instrument of the vessel is an interesting sort of combination. But prayer has a high chance of precipitating a storm. There were a lot of storms. I used to say it. I was a tower chaser, right? The tower, the Ten of Swords, death, the moon, those were some of my favorite tarot cards because that's where I was when I started. Like, different people kind of sort of start their channels and their journeys for different reasons. My journey started because I was at that point in my life where there were things that I knew I needed to face. And maybe it was like to help me break down this mountain of a thing so that I can find a trail up and down and through and around or whatever. And also to help make me aware of the things that I didn't necessarily see or wasn't seeing clearly. It was a tool to help me with that work. And I know, again, a lot of people start their journey for different reasons, but that's why I start mine. And that's why I started mine for me. And I feel like that still, you could like that still pretty much rings true. You know what I mean? I feel like it isn't a surprise if you've seen me, especially when I'm in that speaking mode, when the little chili peppers used to come out, when I say that my North Node Sagittarius is North Node Sagittarius in that day. Like, let's see, face, address the things that we need say that we need to see, that we need to face, that we need to address, so we can actually be more liberated, so we can be more free. Sagittarius is also about like freedom and stuff. But sometimes we have to participate in our own liberation. And sometimes us participating in our liberation means that we have to look at ourselves. Or sometimes we have to enter a more symbiotic sort of relationship with the environment or whatever. You know what I mean? So cool. Yeah. I mean, again, pretty succinct, nothing necessarily wild or crazy. I mean, it kind of was a little crazy when it came out because I'm like, but now that I've read it, I'm like, okay, yeah. I mean, it's still kind of wild. Not wild. It's not wild or crazy. I feel like this is because, like, when I said it's better a lesson than a weapon, and also when I said that, like, I could see it kind of sort of trickstery because I prefer to help someone to a solution rather than to tell someone. Because when we find it ourselves, not only does it show us and prove to us how we may be more capable, just like I think the entry of the Raven's Head said, like what it said to me, for me, about me, is also relevant to my approach to like showing up for people. You know what I mean? Because again, like I mentioned in the last one, I feel like there are some people that rely on me for things that they don't need to rely on me for. And if I see you as more capable than you see you, then like I'm going to help you in a way that allows you to see yourself as capable too. Generally, right? I say that as if I haven't been semi hermiting or elusive for the past however long. You know what I mean? But yeah, like that's my thing. And especially since I don't know everything and we're all different and we all have our own roles and stuff like that, like I'm a respecter of that. But also at the same time, you know, if the glass needs to be cleared a little bit, wiped, if there's a smudge that keeps us from missing a vital detail, right? It's almost like, have y'all seen those? It's like a puzzle, a visual puzzle where there's someone drinking from a straw, and then there's like cups. Speaking of vessels and cups, there's like 5 cups, and there's like each cup has a different straw, but they're all like tangled in. So if there is an obstruction, a visual obstruction at just the right point, we may miss when the straw, like, it changes colors or it twists in a way or something like that, right? Something that helps us accurately, clearly, and with precision follow the path that we're set on. If there's an obstruction, we may miss the turn and end up on a whole other path and be like, whoa, like, what happened? Where am I going? Right? And cool. Yeah. I don't know. Get to know more about me, I guess. Now, I wonder, because we did see the ordeal twice. Both Raven's Head and the Underworld mentioned the ordeal, but the mystical shaman brought out completion. I gotta go to the restroom again. Oof, I will be back. All right. So, yeah. And just like, the same clarity, not clarity, the same approach and attitude that I have with others is the same I have for myself. Right? Just because there is a challenge or an obstacle or a storm along the path doesn't, I don't believe that just because challenges and storms and obstacles and stumbling blocks are on a path, I don't believe that that means that it's not our path. I believe that there are things that we have to go through, right? I believe that there are things that I have to go through and experience, and I believe that there are things that other people have to go through and experience. And through, like, we get where we're going by going through that, right? So yeah, back when I was like, I used to be like, I'm a path worker. Again, this kind of clarifies that, maybe adds more context to that, maybe. What's the completion mean here? I'm not sure. I think I am going to still do one more. I'm going to, what I'll do is I'll flip it to get a complete picture. I'm going to look for the blade. The archetype before, how am I going to do this? I don't, do I need an alchemy? I could do two of them because I want an archetype of the blade as it is. Do I want two different cards, or am I going to treat it like the glass and just pull the same number from both the alchemy and the mystical shaman? My gut inclination is to do one and then the other. I'll do the mystical shaman and then the alchemy because that's how it's coming to me. So the archetype before the blade will be the archetype of the tool, and then immediately after is the significator for the mystical shaman oracle cards, and after that is the significator for the well known alchemy. How about that? Not that the prayer feels incomplete. I mean, that's pretty much it, right? I give it up to God. I'm like, Lord, you know better than I do. You can do more than I can. And if they learn to lean and rely on you and trust you, all the better. Because I don't need nobody leaning on, relying on, oh, I'm going through this. Let me hit up Rio Koruk. I need my healer. Let me go to Rio. Your healer is your creator. And anyone that you come across that is gifted in that way, of course. There are plenty of people who serve that function. I don't. I have no desire to. Your ultimate salvation lies within the Creator, the divine, your Lord, God, and Savior. Not through me. Right. Also, that's another thing that I feel like I try to be kind of sort of clear about with the glass, you know? Maybe some insight, maybe a perspective, maybe through intuition and discernment and connection, a word to be a guide in some way, a liaison, like a, oh, you want to go in this way, a director of things, sure. Okay, anyway, we're looking for the blade, the sword. We're looking for the sword. There's a storm on the sword, so I feel like we're not cheating, even though it's not cheating anyway. That's a nice synchronistic little twist or confirmation because the storm kept coming out. There is actually a storm on the sword. So before the storm, or before the sword is the kiss, number 60. Didn't we see number 60? Is Hyros Gamos 60? Hyros Gamos is number 60. And it's the kiss. The two sneaks meet with the kiss. They're almost kissing. They're both, if they're both licking this, does that count as kissing? Interesting. Okay. And this is why I clarified beforehand. The one before is the archetype because I would have went looking for Hyros Gamos. I mean, if I would have went looking for Hyros Gamos, it would have been one of those synchronistic, like this, but I guess even further. The kiss, the sword, and the crown. The kiss, the sword, the crown, and Alethea. So we're looking for mystical shaman number 13 and alchemy number 77. There is, I'm pretty sure there's not an alchemy number 77. I don't think it goes that far. The vision in the comic. So before the kiss is the comic. After Alethea, truth is the vision. Oh, look, there's a mountain. There's a mountain in the vision. Okay. Alethea is truth, by the way. Let's do it this way. How about that? So I can lay these here. The kiss. Is this a I'm like, is this a Judas energy? The kiss is a weapon. What? I mean, kiss is a broken true love's kiss has been a weapon that's broken curses. If the storm is about purification, also you see there's like the lightning bolt, so that storm energy does carry through here. The kiss is a weapon of purification. It's not just Judas. True love's kiss has turned many a frog into many a prince. It's given Ariel her voice. It's done a whole bunch of stuff. As these are, this is number 13. The blade is number 6. If you're curious, there's the blade. Oh, they didn't care. Number 13. A line from one of I don't have a lot of guilty pleasures. But one of my guilty pleasures is listening to mindless self-indulgence. I feel like there's so much in their lyrics that I do not agree with or stand for, but the music gets me. There's a line from one of them where he's like, to take hold of the reins and use them. And that to take hold of the reins and use them just came and popped into my mind. Do 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 do. I am part of the problem, not the solution. So between the arrow and the giveaway is number 13. Guess. I'll give you a guess. Guess what mystical shaman number 13 is. It's the crow. We have both the crow and the raven on the table now. Cool. Love it. Excuse me. Also, look at this. It looks like that's a crow on the crone. Crow, 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 crow. See, and I specified the first one will be the mystical shaman because that's how I was feeling it. The second one will be the well known. I don't think there is one though. I'm gonna check the book because I'm like 99% sure it cuts off after Anima Mundi, and I think Anima Mundi is number 72. Wait, no. Anima Mundi is the last one in the archetypes. It ends in Conjunctio, conjunction 71. I kind of love that since Aletheia is this major thing. There is no alchemy associated with it. The truth is what the truth is. Now, it is interesting that glass, the alchemy of glass, alluded to the truth. True perception. And then we have this also in Hyros Gamos. We had this black and white thing here too. There was the black and white in the Dreams of Gaia Tarot, of course. But there's color. It's not seeing the world through black and white, through such an extreme lens, but at the same time, it's not, anyway, it is what it is. Oh, there is no alchemy for this. True love's kiss. This is the truth, right? There's a truth here and a kiss here. So true love's kiss. And the power of that to break curses, right? The cleansing power of the storm, the hunter being that it's gonna do its thing. So the only one here to look at or read is the crow. Am I gonna read the crow? I do have the book. I don't necessarily like this book. It doesn't necessarily speak to me. How about that? It's not that I dislike it. It doesn't speak to me. Crow is the keeper of universal law, the law of truth. Okay, well, maybe. There we go. Maybe not. Crow is the keeper of universal law, the law of truth. Crow teaches us to walk our talk, to find congruence between who we say we are and who we really know ourselves to be. This winged one insists that we speak truth, that we create truth instead of searching for it, and that we bring truth to every situation we find ourselves in. Basically, what the glass was saying. Cool. Well, hey, the book it worked today. Also, again, Alethea, truth. This is truth. Truth and truth. There's a lot of truth down here. There's a lot of clarity and precision and truth. I'll read the book because we're reading books. Am I going to read The Kiss? Sure, why not? We already saw Hyros Gamos. The Kiss is number 50. No, it's number 60. LX. So I compare you to a kiss from a rose. Oh, come on. I went too far. There we go. The kiss, the touch, the chemistry, the sex. Before a first kiss, the air is electrified. Electrified air, the storm. What? Not only do we have electrified air in the storm, but also there's electrified air in the sword. Interesting. Each breath is alive with possibility and magic. What will their lips be like? Their tongue? Do they want me in return? The archetypal energy of the kiss is a heightened sensation of merging with other, of letting in what was moments ago separate. Two become one. It is risky but beautiful business. These moments forever change us as we move past the solitary self toward union and acceptance. This card suggests true intimacy is around the corner, which requires bravery and surrender. When a kiss takes a non human form, it may be experienced as touching the sacred, hearing a whisper, or being graced by a divine being. You will recognize the presence of the kiss by cold chills and an awakening of the heart. Now, the sword is not human. That's what it came out sort of clarifying. It wasn't an aspect of the self that it came out. It didn't come out with the warrior or the shapeshifter. Archetype of non-person, a non-personage, archetype of non-personage. Even though I feel like there are some people who may be like blunt or sharp-witted, or right, there's some sword vibe that you can put on a person. But anyway, what's interesting here though was letting in what was moments ago separate, because both the vessel and the glass mention separation. So this is like intentionally breaking the glass. Break in case of emergency. Oh, it says break in case of emergency. Usually, like the emergency is some like dire situation, maybe a storm, right? You break the glass, you hit the alarm, you let people know, hey, seek shelter in place. But there's also like emergency as in like the emergence of something, right? Like the emergency of the butterfly from the chrysalis. Well, you would say more so emergence, the emergence of the butterfly from the chrysalis, but break in case of emergency. You break the cocoon, you break the chrysalis in the case that something is emerging, right? I don't know. Anyway, cool. Also, we have Alethea, number 77. That's Agape. That's Thanatos. That's Gnosis. Two more. Alethea, truth. Our soul recognizes the truth. When someone speaks it, a cool wave of relief washes over the room, and all the facts and figures fall in the world by the wayside. Such is the power of Alethea. It has an undeniable resonance that goes beyond the rational. We can also recognize Alethea by its contagiousness. When we hear someone speak the truth, we see the truth within ourselves and are more likely to tell our own story. The Aletheia card requires us to step toward an act of truth. This might look like a conversation, a gesture, a poetic act, or a ritual that honors the unveiling of what's been concealed. Reclaiming your own truth is a way to reclaim your vital energy, health, and sense of belonging in the world. Truth has its own wings, set it free. Truth has its own wings, set it free. Literally, there's the crone holding the crow, which is an embodiment of truth, and then here is the crow set free. Literally, truth has its own wings, set it free. It's being set free. Cool, love it. Truth as a weapon. Ooh, but again, it's as a loving weapon. Curse breaker, plague buster, blah blah blah, whatever, whatever. Cool. I feel like we don't necessarily need final cards. I don't know if they would fit the vibe, but we'll go for it. I mean, this is what this is. Again, kind of sort of a continuation, more clarification. I mean, I don't necessarily know the purpose of anything. It's not my job to necessarily know the purpose of anything. It's my job to say what I need to say what I see, be as crystal clear and honest about it. Maybe I can work on the precision and not be so whatever. Where was precision? Precision was the raven's head. Not so it's not my thing. Well, it's again the storm happens. This mentioned was this the cool breeze? I was going to mention that. And the kiss mentioned electrified air. Literally the prayer. We pray for truth. As it speaks, a cool wave of relief washes over the room. Again, where cool meets warm, a storm is likely to form. Where that's like a slant rhyme, right? Where cool meets warm, a storm is likely to form. Storm of truth. Even the Ace of Swords is about truth, right? Cool. Anyway. Yeah, there we go. All right, let's put these back together. Let's get final cards. I want to watch something good. I feel like there's something on my list. I already watched that movie. I got some like fudge drizzle popcorn. I want to put on something good, eat my fudge drizzle popcorn, and just like have a moment. You know what I mean? Sometimes life comes at you crazy and it comes at you fast, and you do the best you can. Oh, girl. Not North Node Sagittarius. Speak the truth. If it causes a storm, it causes a storm. Speak the truth. Speak the truth. Completion literally came right back out with the rainbow at the bottom of the deck. Now, the interesting thing about completion and the rainbow is that this one snake that is the child of the two snakes in Hieros, has the entire rainbow within it. The rainbow is completed within that snake. Rainbow snake giving Ouroboros energy. Now, typically when the Ouroboros like releases its tail, but these cards are like coming out today. We saw the storm, it came right back out. Completion was out, it came right back out. Am I taking final cards yet? Maybe I'll just take it as completion. Maybe there's nothing else the mystical shaman oracle cards want to say / has to add. It's a rainbow. Have y'all ever seen? Sorry. I was at a park in London. It may have been West Ham Park. I think it's like West Ham somewhere. There were like wild parrots. They were like bright green. I'm like, whoa, y'all just like out here in the wild. I say that because the bird here. It's not green. I don't know if I've ever seen one in general, especially one like in the wild. I feel like I more so know of them as like pets. Now, with certain breeds of bird, then of course, like, Rio de Janeiro, the movie Rio, is that like a blue macaw or something like that? I guess it's like there are certain birds, like toucans. There are certain colorful birds that I know of as wild, but like with parakeets or whatever, I guess I would think of them more as like pets. And so it was like kind of wild to see one out there. It was kind of wild to see one in the wild, if you know what I mean. Interesting. Cool. Love it. And even though we went looking for the shapeshifter, the alchemy is glass. And I think, too, again, like things aren't necessarily always black and white. So there is a shape-shifty energy to the truth, especially some truths, because a truth is true regardless of how we feel about it, right? For example, if I don't think that parakeets are like things that exist in the wild, but I encounter one in the wild, it doesn't matter what I think or what my conception is. That's true. But also, it doesn't invalidate the truth that some are kept as pets, right? That I, to that point, was much more likely to see one in someone's home than I was to see one out in the wild. And now I'm starting to get hungry. Now it's time to eat. Now it's time to end the video. I'm just putting I'm trying to space them out a little bit. I'm putting all the cards back. And they're circular, so they be little circle, circle, circle. So we gotta do what we do. Circle, circle, circle. So we gotta doop a doop a doop doo. Cause they doop a doop a doop doo. So we gotta boop a doop a doop boo. Hey. That's a deep cut. Since you've been bound up, looking for a way to break free. Shake loose everything that binds you up. Who told you that you can't make it when God said that you can take it? I don't own the rights to that. But I want you to know you're about to break free. The glass, yellowing at the cut. And I'm looking through the glass where the light bends at the cracks. And I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, pretending the echoes belong to someone. Do, 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 do. I don't know the rest of that song either. I think you get 3 seconds before you get a copyright strike. Is that how it works? I mean, they can still take the audio off the video, but I'm not monetized, so you know. All right. How are we gonna do this? Let's just get final cards. Clean flip or clean fall. I will do the alchemy first, and then we'll do the archetype. How about it? How about it? Do 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 do. Excuse me. Do 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 do. Someone I used to know. And we become doop 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 silhouettes when our bodies finally go. I heard that in a store. I know who I was with. I think I remember where I was. I think I was at Vaughn's on campus at Purdue when that song came over. I'm pretty sure I was at Vaughn's with an old Sagittarius buddy, a friend I haven't seen or spoken to in a while. Oh, someone who used to be a friend. Anyway, life happens. Sometimes we grow apart. Sometimes we're in different phases of our lives, and where we are isn't conducive to what the other person needs. You know what I mean? Like where I was in my life, our dynamic didn't work. Or like where I was in my life, our dynamic didn't necessarily work for him. And where he was at that point, the dynamic didn't necessarily work for me. And it was sort of that point where we were better for each other apart. You know what I mean? Because I was in my I that no, that was after. Yeah, that was after. When I had my anything and everything I need to do, I'm gonna face and address. That was my energy, that was my vibe, that's what I was doing, that's what I was going for. Right. And at the time, he was still finding his own way to navigate everything. And so naturally we clashed, and it was one of those like, I hope he's doing well. Can you tell that Mercury is about to retrograde in Cancer? And it's so funny because that Mercury retrograde Cancer that I was talking about that happened in 2019, that friend was like a figure in my life, right? That preceded that was during me handling, facing, addressing things and really like the truth of things. And honestly, what it brought up, I needed to face to allow myself to be free of it. You know what I mean? Um, because some things are a prison or some things are a trap that we hold ourselves in. And it was time for me to be free. Speaking of truth and liberation, right? Interesting. Who was this? Breath Numa. Doom Sparrow Sparrow, while I breathe I hope. I'm pretty sure my grandma said something pretty similar. She didn't say while I breathe I hope or Doom Sparrow Sparrow, but I think she said as long as there is life, there is hope. I'm pretty sure that's what she said. Finally, we got our faller. It came out face down. Yellowing, number 14. Bottom of the deck is the sun. Is it like sun bleached? The yellowing is indicative of healing, right? I'll read the tagline of the sun, and then I'll read the entry for yellowing. How about that? The ordeal. That just said the ordeal. I'm look. I'm in the wrong book. I'm in the book of archetypes. I'm looking for alchemy. My grandma low key blows me away. You know what I mean? Like for example, I don't know what came up. We were in the store, right? And she was looking for the devotional or something that she could give as a gift. And she was like, they say God is love. And I went to one church and there wasn't no love up in there. She was like, I had to go. She's been like really cracking me up these past few days. I've been really enjoying my time with her. Not that I don't always enjoy I always enjoy my time with her, but I feel like the past few days have been filled with more laughter. You know what I mean? So, Solus the Sun is expression, vitality, and identity. She was like, what no love up in that church? What no love nowhere? I had to go. Or something like that. It was hilarious. Yellowing xanthosis, aging, transitioning, and warning, indicating transition. The yellowing leads us into the next phase of our alchemical work. Envision the yellowing as pages of a beloved novel or the ochre blanket of leaves in fall. This color seeps out to signify the beginning of the end. a return to zero. Even a deep bruise finds a yellow tint as it reaches its final phases of healing. In contrast, yellow can be the marker of long awaited growth, as seen in the first rays of the sun, and the sun came out, so we're going to take this one. I'll start over. In contrast, yellow can be the marker of long awaited growth, as seen in the first rays of the sun and the cheer of forsythia in February. Whatever its message, yellowing tells the truth. It leads us forward, like the vibrant canary in the mine. It leads us forward, full stop, period. Also, it tells the truth. There's so much truth in this. Like the vibrant canary in the mine, warning of what's to come, take heed. The transition is here, whether by yolk or bile. How to respond is up to you. It's likely you already know. Here comes the sun, do do do. Here comes the sun. I don't own the rights to that song either. But I did. I watched like the first episode of the Digimon Beat Break, and the group of interest or whatever. It's the glowing dawn, and of course I'm like Aksunade, brilliant dawn. I see the glowing dawn. I'm like, okay. And now we have the yellowing of the first rays of the sun. Yellowing of the first rays of the sun, giving more glowing dawn than like brilliant dawn. In that brilliant dawn Aksunade energy, it is full sunshine. We're talking about that white light, full spectrum. The completion of the rainbow, full spectrum. When you see the rainbow all at once, it appears visually as white light. In pigment, I guess it's interesting in pigment, right? What you see from something is what it doesn't hold. You see what it reflects or refracts, right? So if something appears white, it refracts and reflects all wavelengths of light. It doesn't hold anything. Everything it bounces right off back into the atmosphere. That's why, like, if it's hot, they say, you wore like white or cooler colors because the pigment doesn't absorb that wavelength spectrum, so it doesn't heat up as much, right? Now, if it's black, it absorbs everything and nothing is transmitted, or very little is transmitted. It receives everything. But in light, so in one way, altogether, it's one thing. The other way, altogether, it's another thing. So, for everything to be given and to receive all that is given is both black and white. It's not necessarily one or the other. Anyway, the point was when we see white light, it is every spectrum. We see the rainbow as the rainbow because it's dispersed and broken down by the water droplets in the air, suspended water in the air that acts like a prism that breaks it down for you, right? That's why Pink Floyd, if you put it through a prism, you see the breakdown. Anyway, that's the Aksunade of it. Aksunade is like full every wavelength, every spectrum right there. So it's not necessarily this like yellow or like a reddish orangey pink at sunrise or sunset. Now, typically, because of our atmosphere, we see light with a certain tint, right? Because we shouldn't necessarily get a full um, view of the sunlight, right? Our atmosphere reflects a certain amount of it. Now, when there's a hole in the atmosphere, whichever part of the atmosphere that is, and all of the light comes through, it would probably look more closer to white because then we would be seeing the entire spectrum. But at the same time, that's when temperatures rise. Again, like with the white clothing or with light clothing, because it reflects and refracts more wavelengths of light, it doesn't absorb it and heat up because it's absorbing it, right? So when it all comes to the earth, and when it all hits the earth, unfiltered, unprocessed by the atmosphere, it warms things up because, that's what light does. Typically, with light, there is warmth. Cool. No one's coming to me for a science lesson. Hopefully, because it's been a minute since I've been in school. Anyway. And I'm looking through the glass. The temple and the vision. There's the temple. I was like, if we see a healer or a temple or something like that, I could see, like, because the storm was that energy of like purification and stuff, right? But instead of that, we saw the truth. The truth, the truth, more truth. Ooh, okay, we just got a faller. It came out kind of like that, but they're thin, so it went face down. Bottom of the deck is the shadow. Ooh, what's the one that came out? The temple. We got 28 and 39. Under the shadow is Kairos, number 76, mythic time. Kairos, the shadow, and the temple. Kairos, the shadow, and the temple is an interesting energy. If this were a movie, the plot would be something like there was this huge thing that happened at this time. So much time has passed now that the memory of what actually transpired is gone. And history has been rewritten. Type energy. But also at the same time, you could say, if the temple is a church is anything, sometimes we can become so spiritual or so religious that we miss the truth of the divine, and we miss the truth of God, and we kind of sort of fall into the almost play of whatever. But it's like, and though this is like those moments where like God comes forward or the divine comes forward, probably directly, probably to like individuals. And I would say it's directly to individuals because what it has become in some ways is so far from what it was intended or created to be. There's been decades upon centuries of agendas, propaganda, people in places of leadership with motivations that aren't necessarily purely holy, spiritual, whatever. Sometimes it becomes about the accumulation of wealth or the accumulation of power or being seen as some kind of leader or seen as some kind of authority, and kind of can shift from it being more about that than it necessarily being about the truth that has been prolific. But even in those environments, even in those cases, even in those situations, God is still there. And this is that, like, that brush with the divine. And it's interesting, behind Kairos is the mountain. And behind the mountain is the vision. It's almost like if we were to put it this way, right? Outside, here's the mountain and the vision. right? We stand at the top of the mountain. We're in the vision, we're seeing there, and then outside, because it's like zooming out from the mountain, and then there's the eye of God, there's the eye of the divine. It's like he sees us in the temple. And if he has to reach out, it's like, it's one of those energies, like the divine is, it doesn't go anywhere. It's always there. And so it's like, does the divine reach out? Yes, but also it's kind of there. So, you know what I mean? It's like, yes, but no, but yes. I guess like omnipresence is always present, it's always there, but maybe not necessarily always calling present, maybe not always necessarily calling attention to its presence. How about that? The truth of the divine in the shadow of the temple. That's why we check ourselves. That's also why we form our own personal relationship with the divine, right? Because we are human. As much as we try and as holy as we can be, that's why we are in the Bible told, I'm pretty sure, not to put your trust or your faith in man. Pastors, preachers, ministers, me, anybody, at the end of the day, still a human. But, if we do our jobs, one to another or to people in leadership, we lead people to the divine, right? This is my truth. I encourage you to seek yours. How about that? And maybe in all of the Patrickness of this, may you find what resonates as true for you. So there we go. There was final cards. I hope you have an amazing whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that whatever you need along your path, journey, and way you find. I'm going to take a quick look at completion. I mean, since the crow was so helpful. All things have a beginning, a middle, and an end. This is the nature of life, the seed, the flower, and the fruit, and all of human relationships. Completion suggests the fullness of the moment and the need to transform an old form into a new one. Cool. And then we had the transition of yellowing. So there you go. Cool. Not necessarily, again, I don't necessarily have expectations of anything. I was gonna say not necessarily what I was expecting, but if I think of those like synchronicities, I'm like, okay, cool. What's the point of these? I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? It's not for me to know. I did. I feel like, yeah. I'm enjoying them. You know what I? Yeah. I was gonna say, you know what I didn't do? I didn't just like. I feel like I gotta have some kind of significator though. Now, what could happen is I could let a card flip or fall. If a card flips, I can look before and after the card. If the card falls, I can put it back into the deck, shuffle it, and then let that be the significator. Because I was like, I would love for an archetype to just kind of sort of stand on its own, right? I went looking for the warrior and the shapeshifter. Because I went looking for the warrior, more specifically, I went looking for the sword. Yeah, cool. Anyway, all right, I'll see y'all next time. Bye.